Hurson.
I'm Scott Clark.
And I'm Rick Entrop.
And we are coming to you from the coffee shop. Today we are at the Elliot Bay Book Company's coffee shop, which is this really great bookstore in Capitol Hill. Rick was telling me it used to be in Pioneer Square.
Yeah, it used to be right below. It still might be. I think that they did move, though.
Oh, okay.
They might have two locations.
I don't
Could
know.
be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Either that or they moved here.
Yeah, but the one that was in Pioneer Square was pretty cool. It's like next to the waterfall park, kind of across the street, but south.
Cool. And they've got just like every book on the planet and a little coffee shop in the back, and that's where we're chilling today.
Yeah.
I came in here once and found, they have like a really good book selection. I found this book on schizophrenia that is like it's like a 3-inch thick, it's called Surviving Schizophrenia, and it's written for families of people with schizophrenia, mental health providers, and like whoever, and it's written to a general audience, but it has like the neuroscience, like current studies of schizophrenia and symptoms and drug classifications.
So if you could nutshell
really
schizophrenia, what is it? I know it's not like multiple personality disorder.
No, it's not. Schizophrenia is a psychotic disorder where the brain breaks down in terms of reality testing. There's hallucinations, paranoia.
Okay, dementia? Or is that different?
There's some dementia, but dementia is kind of its other thing.
Okay, right.
But it develops in your 20s usually. And people can have really normal developments and then in their 20s have psychotic breaks. And then there's a degeneration of the brain. And usually people require hospitalization. It occurs in about, I think it's like 3% of the population, or maybe 5%. Most of my clients have schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, which is basically the bizarre, delusional, paranoid, hallucination stuff mixed with a mood disorder. So they're also depressed or manic.
So their reality does not match up with the physical reality.
Off meds, not at all. Like they get really disorganized. You know the stereotypical like crazy hobo screaming at nothing?
Yeah.
That's what schizophrenia looks like. Like a lot of those people might be on drugs or something, but that's what schizophrenia looks like when it's in its most psychotic.
Okay.
And so I was reading it because most of my clients have it, and it's a great book if anybody like has a family member or something.
The reason why I ask is in my career of being mentally assessed by different psychologists, I guess. One of them they said that I had a mild form of schizophrenia.
Yeah, you told me that once, and that just seems so
bizarre. So I've always been sort of like, well, what's that? I guess I don't know. But
Could it be a go-to diagnosis sometimes when they don't know exactly?
Well, there are certain things that if you have a symptom, they think either you might have schizophrenia, and those are intrusive thoughts, or actually it's called thought insertion, where you believe there's an outside entity placing thoughts in your mind, like the government is inserting thoughts, or
mind control.
Yeah, exactly.
Get my tinfoil hat.
And paranoia can be a lot of different things, but people with schizophrenia definitely have very intense paranoia. But the other thing is auditory hallucinations.
Okay.
If people have auditory hallucinations, the first thing you want to rule out is schizophrenia because it's so closely tied to it.
Okay.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it.
Okay.
But you were young. And the thing is that usually
didn't take it personal.
Right.
You know?
There's what's called the prodromal period,
okay.
which is the precursor to schizophrenia. And a lot of researchers have found similarities in people who eventually developed schizophrenia. And so I wonder if they might have seen some of those things and thought, it's likely that at some point you might develop it. But now you're in your 40s, and if you don't have it, you're not going to have it.
Okay, I guess you would know if I did.
You don't. Yeah, I would tell you. I'd be like, Rick, you have schizophrenia.
Nice.
What usually happens is there's some instability and then a big break and then
so
a
is there
series
something that
of
triggers
breaks.
it? Sort of like if there's alcoholism in your family, if you don't drink, then you're probably not going to get it, kind of thing.
There probably is, but it happens. It's a brain disorder.
Yeah.
It's so biological that like people can go, oh well, this, like there was these stressors that caused it, but really what it is your brain. And reading this book, it has a lot of information about the actual neuropsychology of it, like these parts of your brain, and a lot of it is sensory, like Like people who, like I have a client right now who's in the early stages of a psychotic break because he stopped taking his meds, and he has to wear, he wears noise canceling headphones all the time, and I think it's because his voices are so loud, he's trying to drown them out, and he can't handle what?
Voices in your head canceling headphones.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's a huge market for that.
Yeah,
but I think he's trying to, like, because since his voices are so loud, outside sounds like, and there's some sense stuff that, like, either things like lights get really bright, and so sometimes people wear like sunglasses. Senses will get really intense, so like in the summertime people will like have heavy coats on because they can't tolerate like feeling things, and they're trying to protect themselves. The classic like tinfoil helmet is a schizophrenia thing because there's it's fascinating. Sorry to get, we're totally doing something else today, but now my life is schizophrenia right now because most of my clients, like, I deal with it every day, I read about it all the time, but it's fascinating to me because there are certain delusions that people, regardless of culture or class, will have the same kind of delusion.
Interesting.
Like that either the government or a corporation or some conglomeration of people are personally targeting them and out to get them. And that they've seen that across cultures. They've seen it. And with the advent of computers are starting to be integrated to that. And so people will think that like computers are controlling them. Isn't that interesting?
I've actually heard somebody say that the devil lives in the computer.
There's religious fixations are huge with schizophrenia.
The number of the beast kind of thing.
Yeah.
The sign of the times.
Totally. People get really fixated on those kinds of things.
That's probably the best part about being an atheist. There's no such thing as a devil.
I know. Well, the thing is, though, that like people, regardless of their like, it's the idea that, to me, the interesting part about it is that their brain is creating something external to them that is controlling them, whether it's the devil or a computer or the government. And the fact that it's chemicals in your brain causing you to think a very specific thing that like people like independently are having the same thing, and it's not, you know, not somebody telling you that. Like like people might think that like there's like people are watching them all the time and that they're part of a group that they've invented in their head. That usually like CIA is really common. Secret organizations or like the devil controlling those organizations.
In the mid-90s, wasn't there a huge run on like movies with like electricity controlling, like through the like the wires and stuff? They were like controlling, like evil was coming through the circuits and stuff. That the mid-90s, I think, was a huge run on those kind of movies.
It's kind of part
like
of
Shocker or one of those.
Kind of like that.
Ooh, that's a creepy movie. I saw that when I was too young to see it, so it totally scared me, even though it's not
the dude that broke
scary
out of jail,
of a movie.
right? And that was sort of the.
He went to the TV.
Yeah, totally. That was so creepy.
Sure.
Anyway, schizophrenia is a really interesting disorder, and it's one of those things that's like so biologically tied that eventually, I think, with improvements in medications and, you know, I think there will be either like someday they'll just find the part of the brain, because the problem with finding the cause of it is it affects so many different systems in your brain that they're like, well, maybe it's this, but maybe it's this. But someday I really think they'll cure it, which is amazing. It's chemicals, but it's also malfunctions of like sensory processing. Like there's the limbic system in the brain, which processes your sensations, and they know for sure it has something really specific to do with that.
So there's literally something's miswired in there.
But some people like they have like restless leg syndrome or things that they just can't control, that they can kind of target and allow control to reoccur there, sort of thing.
I think so. Yeah. Well, and the thing that kind of, I think we're in a good place right now with it is that, like, it used to be thought that it was caused by bad parenting or things that happened in early childhood, but now we know it's biological disorder.
Somebody's locked in the bathroom.
And so I knew when I went in the bathroom, I was like, oh no, I'm stuck, because the door doesn't quite open.
I can hear him trying to get out.
I know. Anyway, it's really interesting, and I think we're at an exciting stage, because the insidiousness of schizophrenia is because of the paranoia. They don't want to take medications because really, like, they they are very mistrustful of things like medications by the nature of the disease. And so the medication is the thing that will keep your brain from degrading because it will keep, if you get too far out of the norm, it starts damaging your brain and then you get progressively more ill.
That's where you get into the dementia.
Right. And so then people who do take medication can find really good ways of functioning for the level of their disability. But it's so insidious to me because, man, like, it makes them think like this pill is doing some mind control and this is some government thing that they're doing experiments on me through these pills. And then they stop taking their medication and then they get psychotic. And then there's no talking a person once they're psychotic and off meds into getting back on meds, because it requires hospitalization, and it's really sad to me because it's a disease that fights against its own treatment, you know?
Interesting.
So it's really frustrating.
Also, when they're on the medication too, they feel better, so they don't think they need it.
That's true. That usually happens more with people who have mania, because mania makes you feel euphoric and super heroic, and then you start going, why would I need medication when I feel so great? And then you stop taking it.
You have the super highs, and then you also have the super lows.
Exactly, because then you stop taking your meds, and then you get crazy manic, and then you crash.
So mania is manic, then?
Yes.
Okay.
Mania is, a manic episode is having mania.
Okay.
Yeah, which there can be mixtures of, like, schizophrenia and some bipolar things, which is schizoaffective disorder. It's interesting. This is my job.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm fascinated by mental illness.
You say mania. I used to watch Tasmania when I was...
Well, and manic episodes are interesting because they can either manifest as this grandiose thing or just extreme irritation. And that's why people either end up like thinking they can fly and jumping off a building, or like,
why don't you take off from the ground first?
Or like getting in a fight with someone and ending up in jail. That's like, when people get really out of control, that's where they end up, is either
taking on the police,
totally,
or something.
It's really interesting. But anyway, I got that book here, and to me, having a book like that, like, all of their sections are so, they have a really good book selection. So, but that's, anyway. So now we're 10 minutes into it. That's my primer on schizophrenia. But if you have schizophrenia, because you will end up in a psychiatric hospital.
It's not a great stocking stuffer.
No, it's kind of a bummer, but I find it fascinating.
You can't. That's a gift you can't return.
Be good, kids. If you're bad, Santa's going to put schizophrenia in your stocking.
Interestingly enough, though, also, if you have family members with schizophrenia, it's like you can follow, you're, I think, 3 times likelier to have schizophrenia if you have a parent with schizophrenia, and if you have a grandparent, it's like you're 50% more likely. It's like a really, someday they'll find a genetic tie.
Is that more of like a societal rub-off thing than a genetical? Like you pick up their traits because that's how they behave?
No, it's biologic, because they've done adopted kids studies and stuff, because they used to think it was parenting related, and there was the schizophrenic family.
Yeah, you did get into that.
Yeah, but they've found that it's very biological. Which I think someday they'll find a cure because of that. Because other things are more gray, like, if you have anxiety, your parent being anxious, even if they're adopted, can kind of affect you. Like, we were talking energy and stuff earlier.
If one is egomaniacal.
Yeah, you can develop...
To put that word back in.
Yeah, totally. You can develop narcissism through having a neglectful narcissistic parent. So those things are less biologically tied. But something like bipolar and schizophrenia are very... That's 100% biologic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 100%. Because people, they're going to, I don't know if they'll cure it, but they're going to understand autism better. Because some people with autism, I think it doesn't need to be cured. For some people are really debilitated by it. But to me, there's, Temple Grandin has autism, and she invented, all these farm systems, and, she was really prolific, and she says she doesn't need to be cured because it's a positive thing for her. That she just has a different way of existing. But, the kids with autism who can't speak and stuff, I think they'll find something because it's so biological.
There's ways around it, and I think it's, I like it. I don't want to say I like autism, but I've seen kids with autism.
There's strengths in it.
They especially with their they have the ability to just like music.
Yeah.
Like their rhythms are really focused on numbers.
And they almost just look at things from a different perspective, which is
they're
really
not clouded
interesting.
sometimes. Most of the time, they're just.
I think it's like part of it is just like being open to different ways of being, because I think
as long as they're not
like
hurting
we look,
anybody,
well, and I think we have looked at autism as this disability. And really, it's like it's just a different
so
way of interacting.
Really aggressive, or you know, they may not be as socially in tune or able to sympathize or empathize or whatever it is that I don't know. I guess I don't know nothing.
Well, and it's even like people think about like people with Down syndrome. And how we got to cure that. And I'm like, well, or maybe there's just people with Down syndrome. Like they enjoy their lives and they're fun to be around. And I'm not a person who thinks we need to go out and fix every problem.
Don't get mad when you make fun of them. No, I'm just teasing. I'm so just teasing.
Some of them don't though. No, but to me it adds like richness to life. And if they're in pain and suffering, then by all means let's help people. But if they enjoy their life and they're just happy to be different, like who cares? Let's have some difference, you know?
My mom actually used to work at a school out in Buckley called Rainier State School, and that's where a lot of these Down syndromes and also autistic people, and just severely mentally disabled people would end up. And she worked with them a lot, and it was kind of sad, but kind of nice because they had this community where all these people live. But oddly enough, she ended up getting retired from there because she got attacked by Downs.
That's too bad. Yeah.
It wasn't attacked. I say attacked. She was giving a hug from behind and just yanked her down. It was like, I want to hug you.
Yeah.
And that's...
Hug you, love you, and call you George.
Call you George.
I know. Well, it's one of those things that's like, I think that the world is better from having a lot of different kinds of people. The thing with like something like schizophrenia is the people with schizophrenia live in pure torture their whole lives because they think they're being hunted, and that to me it's like, well, if we found a cure for that, that would be a blessing for them because they live in torture. But there are people who don't.
Right.
Like if they're happy, like I have one client who is super grandiose and he thinks he's the king and he lives his life in I'm wonderful and like walks around like ordering people around, and I'm like, he's got no problems. Like he thinks his life is great to him because his for some reason his mental illness makes him happier and more like I am super important. And to me, I'm like, well, if I was going to be mentally ill, I want that.
There you go.
Because I think he has more enjoyment of his life than I do.
Sure. Well, I mean, everything's subjective, really, when you break it all down. So you only have your own experience to go from. So
totally.
Unless someone's hurting somebody else or in pain.
Does he have a whole court that comes with him, like his whole king's court?
And, I think in his mind he probably does. He's always talking to people who aren't there, so maybe he does. He cracks me up.
I often make jokes about voices in my head on like Facebook, like they're having a tickle fight. I made the comment the other night my voices were having an argument. Oh crap! One of them's got a knife.
Have you seen the show Inside Herman's Head?
Yeah, Herman's Head. I love that show.
No,
it was like a '90s sitcom that was on for like half a season.
I might have seen it then.
With it was a lot of Simpsons people.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. The voice of Lisa and but you would recognize all the people.
Well, and the guy that one of the guys really took off his
Azaria.
friend. Yeah.
Oh, was that the friend?
Well, he does like Mel the bartender dude. He does.
Oh yeah.
What's his name? He was in like the Birdcage.
Yeah, that's Hank Azaria.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Who I think is like one of the most hilarious like most influential comedians who people probably don't realize he does all the things that he does because he's like 10 voices in The Simpsons and like has done, and I think he's even in Family Guy occasionally, and he's a huge voice actor.
It's just people don't understand because they don't see him.
Right.
They only hear his voices.
Totally.
And so it's like, what does he do?
Well, so one thing we wanted to talk about today is Christmas is coming up.
Right.
Christmas! And Scott had some thoughts about celebrating Christmas as an atheist.
Yeah, well, that's a question I get asked. I've been getting it asked like once a year. What do you do? Do you celebrate Christmas?
Well, how long have you always been an atheist?
I'm more, I want to say I've been in churches, but as a kid, I always thought this really hokey and weird. I mean, he was a little child.
So you were an early adopter of the "this smells funny to me" syndrome.
When I finally actually embraced it is when people would say, accept this way of life, or you're going to burn.
Sure.
Oh,
believe or not.
I'm like, nah. That's, to me, is like, why are you freaking me out just to try? If it's cool, I'm gonna believe in it. Or if it's like, if it's gonna, I don't need to.
Yeah.
And so, so I just pretty much from like early, late childhood down into my adulthood, just kind of like, man, this stuff's ridiculous. So I just, but I always celebrated Christmas.
Okay.
What made me feel better about celebrating Christmas, not made me feel like a hypocrite, is that it's adopted holiday by the Christians to envelop the pagans. And so I'm like, all right, cool, I can do that part. I can. It's the winter solstice to me. It's the winter celebration. All, and it's nowadays. Is it really a religious holiday? More or less, no. I don't think so. It's like you exchange gifts.
Right.
Well, and that's what, because I wasn't always an atheist. I was a pretty devout Mormon for a very long time. And to me, my developing of, going away from that was sort of and in my conceptualization, Rick might disagree, but this is how I look at it. The Mormon church has a set, or the LDS church has a set of premises that say, if you live this way, that is good. And it's happiness and salvation. If you don't, it's despair.
Right.
And so I was getting to a point in my life where, I've had gay friends since I was 10, and all these things that are outside of that framework that I was always like, but I know people that don't have despair and that do a lot of these things that this house is built on. And reconciling that in my mind just got more and more discordant until I was 26, and I was like, well, I find that this framework is so separates you from other people so much, and so holding to this, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't watch R-rated movies, I only do these things, and more I was finding that people my own age couldn't relate to me, and it was affecting my ability to have friends and be empathic, and my experience wasn't matching up with the premises. And so literally at a point in my life, I gave myself permission to go, you know what if this is not true?
Right. And
what if I can just be happy and be around people and not have to hold to these things?
Right.
If that's true, then maybe this isn't. And then I tried it, and I was like, I still have peace, I still have love for people, I still have connections with others. And so to me, the whole house fell down, because I was like, oh, well, if living this way isn't the key to happiness, then maybe just thinking that it is the key to happiness was keeping me from being connected to other people.
Right.
Because you hadn't made it there yet. You still had conditions to fulfill.
Yeah, and then I realized for me, I was like, well, then to me that means that this is just socially constructed. The house of this church is just a social construct that I say I'm a good person if I do A, B, C.
Right.
And then I choose to think, well, I'm a good person regardless of what I do. So
if I could say just a few things about that.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, the first thing, the LDS church they're not as doom and gloom as from what I understand about Catholic.
Not at all.
It's sort of like, it's gonna be better in the next life. It's just how better is it gonna be?
Right.
Are you gonna make the upper echelon?
You can either get a C+ or you can get an A+. Yeah.
So it's not quite. You're gonna be, in eternal torment if you don't,
There is a lot of despair of the wicked though in there.
Oh, sure.
This life.
Yeah. Well, but
theoretically, and this is something I heard a lot growing up. I'm sitting here drinking a cup of coffee, which somehow was supposed to bring some despair into my life because Joseph Smith said that coffee's no good.
Sure.
And to me, when you grow up thinking that, then that puts power into coffee that it doesn't,
No, it doesn't exist.
To me, it's well, that's or wearing a tank top. It took me several years after being out of the church to be able to wear a tank top because I felt it's immodest for women to wear tank tops, and there's a lot of power in those constructs.
Culture, and I was raised Mormon too, so that's pretty much my experience and what I can go on. But what I found too is that people aren't. It's like they're all in the future with things. They're all. It's like they don't look at the passage "Be ye therefore perfect" as just be. They look at it as someday I can be like him or whatever. So it's sort of like
very much a race going on of like I gotta get to this place.
Yeah.
I've got to try really hard.
Right.
Totally.
And I mean, I guess I don't know. So it's more about finding happiness in what you're doing rather than hoping that something better will come.
Afterlife thing I couldn't buy into as well. It's like
sure. Well, and that's my whole. I'm not quite atheist like you guys. I mean, I don't believe that there's not God. I just don't believe that we can know what that is. I believe that whoever
that would make you maybe agnostic.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. I'm totally agnostic. Exactly. Yep. But I do believe that whoever is running the show or creating the universe doesn't want me aware of them or anyone necessarily aware of them because obviously I'm not. So that's sort of how it should be.
Because theoretically, if they were all powerful and they wanted you to be aware of them, then you would be aware of them. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
So why does anybody else have access to that information either then?
Well, and I'm always suspicious when other people start saying, I know what God wants you to do. Then I start going I don't know about that. Yeah, but my, so like, I was very into Christmas and very anti-Santa, by the way, my whole life, even from a small child. I don't know if you remember this about me, but I remember in kindergarten, my kindergarten teacher had a sweatshirt on that said, I believe in Santa. And I was in my kindergarten class, and I'm like, so what's up with your shirt? And she's like, I love Santa. And I remember thinking, my teacher is an idiot. And like as a kindergartner I was like, I had no idea that my teacher was stupid, but she believes in Santa, and that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But in our family, Santa was like a joke. Like it was grandma's presents were from Santa, and it was clearly presents from grandma.
There was a few years that they were pretty we're going to do the Santa thing that I remember.
Did I buy it?
No, you were way. I mean, they stopped that long before you started talking.
The Santa thing got killed for me when I would go to the tree and there'd be presents there, and there'd be it would say my name from Santa.
Yeah.
It's
Some
wait
people
a
go
minute,
to
what's going on? I thought he was supposed to be here on Christmas Eve. It's like, what's this deal?
I know, but I've always thought Santa was dumb, and seen it as like, I mean, it's cute if it's like a funny thing, but as a real, like some people, like if you talk about Santa not being real in front of their kids, they will go nuts on you.
It's like, why the big charade?
And people tell me too, because I'm always bah humbug about Santa, and they tell me that like I don't understand the magic of whatever, and I'm like, oh, Christmas is totally magical for me. I don't need to believe in some kind of made up mystical guy who jumps down a chimney to like love being with my family and having the excitement of presents. Like it doesn't take that away.
You have a pedophile breaking into your house once a year.
Well, go sit on Santa's lap.
Here's my milk and cookies.
But the whole premise. So I've pretty much become agnostic like within the last year or so. So it's still pretty new to me.
Because when I moved in with you first, like we would have these deep conversations about this, and you were coming down a little bit on a different side of it. So.
Well, no. So this is still pretty new, but to me the whole God thing is sort of Santa-like. It's like, okay, be good and then you'll be rewarded. Because there's always that caveat there. It's like, well, you'll be, you'll live in the heavy, you'll live in heaven, and you'll be like God, and all these promises. If they always put that if you follow the commandments, if you do this, or if you do that, and to whose level of completion?
I just take the karma thing. You just do it because you just
do
it.
I'm not saying
I have a problem with karma.
Yeah.
I think that karma assumes a universal justice, which I think causes despair because then you're doing things in order to get a payoff, which is the same thing.
Exactly.
That's just me. I know a lot of people make us feel better. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is to me, it's still the tit for tat. Whereas to me, I'm like, you know what? Shit happens. Like people are mean. People do bad things to other people. Sometimes they go to jail or get it in the shorts, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have happiness, and I do wrong things. Like I make mistakes and hurt people. and I'm not necessarily like rewarded or harmed for it.
Yeah,
to me, the world doesn't have an external sense of justice.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
And that was my issue. It's like, so I won the lottery. Am I being rewarded, or I just got my car got hit? Am I being punished for something?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? So there was always that.
Totally.
Yeah, it's just shit happens.
And to me, that causes you distress because then you're always like, why is this happening? And at least I have more of a sense of peace if I let go of the why and just say, this is happening.
Sure.
Instead of a, why is this happening? I say, this is reality, and then you deal with it.
Can you learn from it? How can you, do better the next time the situation comes about?
And some things are like, I punched you in the face, and so you punched me in the face, and it's very immediate. You go, well, maybe I shouldn't punch someone in the face.
Right. That's a cause and effect.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's to me, that's different than karma.
Yeah.
And I just like I have a. To me, it's all about what way of conceptualizing things causes me the least pain. And when I separate myself from things like, if I'm good, then good will happen to me. Right. Because then when good doesn't happen to me, I'm like, why is this happening?
Yeah,
so then that causes me less pain.
So,
yeah, and it's okay if bad stuff happens, like bad stuff, quote unquote. Right. Because you get through it, like really.
It's not really, if you think about it, it's really not bad stuff. It's more like an inconvenience or just something just.
Something to come up to deal with, and then you deal with it, and then you move on. But if you give it power and you put all this meaning into this thing as being some kind of retribution or something that will deserve future retribution, then you're like attaching yourself to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, but back to Christmas.
Yeah.
So now that I'm not religious, but also I should say about myself, I was very deeply religious and also celebrated Hanukkah. Like since like age 12 with my best friend Rachel, whose family is Jewish, and I go over to their house and I get Hanukkah socks and we do the dreidel and we sing the songs, we eat the latkes, and so I've been kind of like an inclusionary person. Like I used to like recreationally visit other churches.
Oh, cool.
Like I have been to every church.
I kind
of wish I would have did that because
I do respect it because it's similar
fun.
Messages. Just different.
Right.
Different.
I always looked at it as I just want to see what's going on over here, and then I sing the songs and read their little pamphlets and like just kind of get a sense of what's happening.
What's this cult all about?
I've been to those I've been to the speaking in tongues Pentecostal churches. I've been to I've been to a bunch of Catholic churches, which could not be any more boring. Catholic church is the most boring church.
We tease my grandmother.
Luckily though it's not the 3-hour marathon.
I know that it is short.
Yeah.
LDS church is more interesting because it's like people are talking and you're interacting, but it's long.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's marathon church.
Yeah, 3 hours minimum.
Yeah,
it's long.
I thought Catholic would be long because all that.
Well,
no, they are in and out. 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah, when they break it up, it's like there's the sacrament meeting, and there's the Sunday school, and then there's the
men get together and the women get together.
So,
but when I was active in the church, and I sang in the choir, and I had a calling, which a calling is like they put you in charge of like a Sunday school class, or you play the organ in sacrament meeting. Right. I was at church for 5 or 6 hours total.
Oh, yeah. And the missionaries, they go there all day. They do.
When I was on a mission, I would go to church for like 11 hours.
Yeah.
Now, my physical therapist, he's Mormon, and I'll bring up this movie, and I'll say, "Have you ever seen this movie?" He goes, "No." And I'm like, "Why not? It's such a good movie. It's rated R." And I was like,
I know.
I kind of chalk that up to people. When you ever ask someone, "Hey, do you watch this show?" I don't watch TV. It's sort of like a looking down your nose. I know. It's like really.
Totally.
I don't watch. I don't have cable. That's why I don't watch
TV. Also, that's another. Now that this episode's become Peggy's problems with the LDS Church, that's another psychological component of it. Which the premise of the LDS Church is, if I don't allow myself to be influenced by certain things, I will remain good.
Be in the world, not of the world.
Right.
I think is how they put it.
And so you shield yourself from like sexual things, from violence, from all these different things. But I love movies, and I've loved movies since super young. So like I was like sneaking into Pulp Fiction, but I always remained a good person. And so to me, I'm like, I can watch violent things. I can't punch the guy at the boxing gym. Like, I am not a violent person. It's okay for me to like observe life in a realistic way instead of this unrealistic way, which is like, oh, everybody is a white person who's middle class American. And it actually really got solidified when I went to Ghana and saw a Ghanaian LDS church, which was really it was the tipping point where it started making my stomach sick because it was like you go to Sunday school classes and they want you to wear a white shirt and tie, and I'm like, we're in Ghana. White shirt and tie is not a respectful clothes for them. Let them wear their own clothes.
Like more of a conformist.
But they were exporting middle class U.S. culture, and I was like, if God is God, Ghanaians are just as good as white people, and they should have their own culture be pervade. And it started making me like
because
angry.
That's the whole premise. It's like, well, we gotta dress like the prophet dressed. Does the prophet shave? Then we should shave. Does the prophet wear a tie? We should wear a tie. Does the prophet wear a white shirt? We should wear a white shirt.
Yeah.
And so it's like total conformist sort of thing.
And
but what makes him more legitimate than another culture?
And we were reading the manuals in Sunday school that were the same ones you read in the U.S. And it was like, it had no insight into their culture. It was just training them to be white
cookie
people.
Cutter.
And it really bothered me. And it was really funny.
Franchise almost.
Oh, totally. It really creeped me out. And everyone was great. I actually made most of my friends at church, but it was that like thing where I was just like, man, I don't like this. This is cultural imperialism. This is like everything God is not, if there's a God who is inclusive and loves everybody. And like, we shouldn't be trying to change people's culture. We should
almost like a Stepford Wives.
Yeah, it was really weird. But my favorite moment was I was singing in a choir because they had like a temple pageant at Christmas time, and I sang in it. And so we were having a choir thing. We were singing this song that one of the lines is something God is light. But the conductor kept saying God is white, and then everyone would laugh because he just like was mixing up the words. Because one of the other lines, I think it rhymed with white, even like beautiful white or something. But then he would say God is white, and then everyone would like erupt in laughter, and it was like so funny to me because I was like, well, if you ask people in the U.S., I bet you they'll say God is white.
Got to be some color. I mean,
if he has a physical body,
right? Well,
and like there's a lot of racism in that idea that like if you're in the LDS church, that if you are righteous, you will become white. Like it's in the,
I mean,
in the scripture.
Totally. They changed the Lamanite skin color.
There's a lot of racism.
Plus, I've heard all kinds of things about how actually there was this black guy that had this. He happens to be black, which is it's essential to the joke. It's not like a thing, right? But so he said. I went to a Mormon church, but and they said that Cain killed Abel, and they turned his skin color black, and they still wanted to pin that on a brother or something like that. So it's like,
I think I've heard that. Yeah, that was really funny.
Hilarious.
Anyway, it's just interesting to me and looking at it like sociologically. But back to Christmas. Now that we've, today I was going to do movie things. We're already 40 minutes in.
That's all right.
Okay. I will talk about schizophrenia and religion all day long. Okay. But, sorry. We'll do the movie thing soon.
Cool.
I can't believe this is going by this fast. Anyway,
it's the caffeine.
I know. I've had like 9 cups of coffee. So the Christmas thing, like the thing you were saying about how it's really appropriated from other cultures.
Right.
To me, it's like a time where it's cold outside and it's fun to get together with family.
Right, sure.
And Christians, like do you guys watch The Daily Show?
No, I haven't been up to date.
I'll post on our stuff. There's a link this week. He'll start making fun of the war on Christmas stuff.
Oh, cool.
Where the guys on Fox News are like, you can't say Happy Holidays, and like get really curmudgeonly.
Sure.
And he does this whole bit about Santa because they were getting really upset about, Santa is a Christmas thing and how Santa's actually the feast of St. Nicholas, and he gets into like the history of that and how it has nothing to do with Christmas.
That's another thing too. People really don't know exactly what they're celebrating.
Yeah.
It's just.
And the feast of St.
Why
Nicholas.
do they need to though? Let's just celebrate.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
But anyway, go ahead.
Well, and that's what I think Christmas is becoming, is a time for togetherness and happiness, and it can mean whatever you want it to mean, because
we definitely need that.
Christians have put their meaning onto something that was external. So why can't atheists go, well, to me this means family time?
Have you ever watched the Jim Gaffigan's?
I love Jim Gaffigan.
He's awesome.
His definition of Christmas.
I don't remember. I've seen all his specials though.
putting a tree in your house almost sounds like it's something a drunk person would do. You know, it's like,
Nice.
you're gonna cut down the tree and we're gonna decorate it for Jesus.
Nice. Well,
Jim Gaffigan is a genius.
King
He's
Baby
one of the
is
best
probably the
comics.
funniest.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that guy. Pale,
Yeah.
Beyond the Pale.
Totally.
Yeah.
The Hot Pocket.
Oh my gosh, he's so good.
But his genius though is making fun of himself on stage.
yeah.
While he's whispering.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. I love that. And
He's
actually,
great.
like, I notice other comics have kind of ripped
Oh
that
yeah,
off. And
totally,
I'm like, you're doing the Jim Gaffigan thing.
Yep. But that's his.
Yeah,
though.
like
That's
Patton
totally
Oswalt
his.
will do it a couple of times, and
Yeah.
I know he's so like adept that he knows he's stealing,
Sure,
or, like using
yeah,
it,
yeah.
you know, as a device.
Yeah, but he's been
man,
around
Jim
now.
Gaffigan is so good.
Yeah.
I just love how he doesn't move on from premises.
Right,
He
like
takes
he'll go
one
on, like,
premise,
bacon. His bacon
and
bit.
does an hour on it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's prolific, you know, like to
Yeah.
be able to find every funny aspect of one
Bacon.
subject is so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bacon.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but I think anybody can celebrate whatever they want. I did Kwanzaa
Sure.
one year. Kwanzaa's the
Festivus.
best.
Let's do it.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes.
Totally.
we gotta
We
do
actually
Festivus.
we put up a tree this year. We haven't
Did
had
you?
a tree for
Right
I
on.
want to say
Oh, cool.
maybe
Like a real
4
tree kind of thing?
No,
or
we
no?
don't do
Oh,
it. No,
okay.
I can't have a real tree in the house.
Okay.
I'll be sick.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's the there's
Sap?
not really the sap.
Allergic to it?
I get it's not the tree itself. It's the like if they have moss or something on the bark.
yeah,
It's that
that's
stuff.
true. Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't do it because it causes a gigantic mess. I
Yeah.
hate the needles and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
That
you-
drives me
it- yeah,
crazy.
it's
and there's
the
a
worst thing
potential
to try to
for
get
fire
rid
too.
Yeah,
That's
totally. It's true.
But
But you put up a fakey tree?
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Thank you for the Chinese for making me a tree.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got a fakey tree, that big silver thing.
Yeah.
Ours is green. It looks
Oh,
like a real
yeah.
tree.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, Rick and Alex do the silver, orange, and green Christmas.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
think-
very disco-y.
Don't tell her I said this. She'll
Oh.
probably listen to it. But I think it's getting a little old.
Oh, you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think like our second Christmas we've been doing
Yeah.
it since. So we've been talking about doing different colors. Like I think our next color scheme is going to be like white, blue, and silver or something. But
Yeah.
So
more
you're
of
having
like
Hanukkah Christmas?
yeah. I guess
Those are
those
the Hanukkah
colors.
colors?
And she wanted to do like a black and white Christmas
Oh, that'd
kind of
be
thing,
cool.
or I don't
And
know,
Rick
but-
and Alex, I don't know if you guys still do this, but you guys used to do Alex loves presents,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
for
you
sure.
guys do tell us about what
Yeah.
you guys do, because I
Well,
remember
okay,
you
so
told
all
me a
our
long
all
time
our
ago.
ornaments are orange and green, and
Uh-huh.
then we have decorations that we put around the house that are orange and green. Our stockings aren't because we can. It's like trying to find. Orange is the kicker. Green, but it's more of a limey green. You know,
Oh, okay.
sort of like the lime.
Lime.
So anytime
If
we
you
find
want orange and silver and green stockings, I can make that happen.
Oh,
for you.
cool.
I
Well,
do have a sewing machine or two.
we'll see. Well, I haven't had the. Are we done with the orange and
Right.
green discussion yet?
Okay.
So, but all our wrapping paper, all our gifts, it's like we
What
try to
sparked
go all
off
out.
the color scheme? What was just random?
I don't know quite how it happened.
Just
I
one
think it was
year.
one of our ideas. It's like let's just do orange and green because I think we
I
found
think
like a
they
few.
were like your favorite colors, weren't they?
Yeah.
And you
Well, I
just
was
were
really
like,
big to
why-
orange at the time,
Yeah.
so
Like the Florida Gators.
kinda, yeah.
Maybe. But I think green is just an accent, right? There's
Kinda.
more orange and silver.
We try to do more orange than
Okay.
anything because silver and green are really easy to come by. So.
I have neighbors who leave their Christmas tree up all year.
Do they?
Huh.
What they do is they
That's
turn it
funny.
upside down.
Oh, weird.
They actually
I've
have
seen
it.
upside down.
Weird.
Christmas
Yeah,
trees.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. They
Weird.
and for only 1 month
It
of the
is an
year.
You should
interesting
ask
look.
them.
I will ask them.
Yeah.
I'll get on
Huh.
Facebook and ask them a
Just like,
message.
tell us the
Well,
story.
there
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
Christmas shop it's in Woodinville. It's not where the soccer fields are though, but they would have upside down Christmas trees hanging.
Yeah, I didn't know how
there
they
must
get
be
it
a
to balance.
thing for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
like there must be a purpose behind it.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
so
know.
weird.
The antithesis.
I love
of-
Christmas decorations and have zero. I don't do. I've never done Christmas. 1 year, I have a rubber tree.
If I wasn't married, I'd be that.
Yeah, I have a rubber tree in my house, and I hung little Christmas balls on it 1 year,
Yeah.
and then I
Rubber
thought they
Christmas
looked cool, and I just left them up, and they're still on it. Like I've had them now for like 6 or 7 years, hanging on my rubber tree.
Nice.
Because they were just like pink and orange. They were just
Oh, right
different
on.
colors, not necessarily Christmassy. And
Yeah.
I thought it looked nice.
Yeah.
But I'm so in general, unfestive for holidays.
Now, do you like going around looking at lights?
I do.
My wife
I like
loves
that.
doing that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Candy Cane
think-
Lane.
Yeah.
You've been to Candy Cane Lane?
Where?
No.
No.
Mongolia, I think, or it's somewhere on the other end of Capitol Hill.
Okay.
But it's a neat.
Mongolia is not
Mongolia.
Magnolia?
Magnolia.
Is it Magnolia? Okay.
No, is it Magnolia Bluff? Isn't that
Yeah.
down there?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I think it's
Magnolia
in
Bluff.
that. Yeah.
I've heard of Magnolia. I don't know.
Google will tell me where
Okay.
it's at.
Yeah. Anyway, Candy Cane Lane.
I do
It's
love
fun.
doing
If it's
lights.
if it's in Mongolia, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That
we're
would be
a
a
little bit
long
out of the way.
Yeah. No, I like doing that stuff. I like it even better for Halloween, if I'm honest. I love people who go all out for Halloween.
Right.
Sure.
It's my favorite. Which actually, Hannah, Rachel's sister, who was in town, she was showing me pictures. They have like a little enclosed porch on their house.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
And they turned it into an aquarium.
Oh.
And how they did it, they took really bright colored green and blue paper and crumpled up.
okay.
She said they crumpled up like hundreds and hundreds of them and put it on the ground so it looked like rocks. And they had these things hanging that looked like seaweed.
fun.
And they had like a treasure chest.
Oh,
and then
cool, for Halloween?
yeah, Josh
Awesome.
dressed up as like a deep sea
That
diver
is a
with
great idea.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And then
Dress your
Hannah
house
was
up. That's
she was a mermaid, and she said they did it intentionally unspooky because there's a lot of little
yeah,
kids,
nice.
and so they just come in and there's like fish hanging from the ceiling, so they put cellophane over the windows so it was all blue, and it
They
just
should have
looked
had a
really
little treasure
great.
chest that would open and blow bubbles.
They did
out,
have the
but-
treasure chest, but I don't think that would be cool.
Huh.
Yeah.
So now they decided their thing is going to be to turn their porch into a little
Little theme.
museum
Cool.
window thing.
Nice.
And she
Cool.
said that one little kid did scream though because they were coming to the door and they thought Josh was a mannequin, and because he's just sitting there with
I
the
love
double
those
thing.
where they scare people.
And then he moved, and the kid like freaked out because he
yeah.
thought it was like a whatever, like a scarecrow.
Well, this was a ways, obviously back in October when it was Halloween, but Ellen DeGeneres had some guy from her show go to a haunted house with this other lady. It's hilarious. He's like using the lady as a shield and really screaming really high, and he gets really
awesome.
scared. Yeah, I'm
should
sure it's
check
still
it
on
out.
YouTube
I
or
love
something.
Ellen.
Yeah,
That's
he
funny.
gets so scared. It's funny.
Nice. Yeah, no, I love the decorations thing, but I think I'm a little more into Halloween in general because it's more like
it's
the
your
spooky
birthday,
thing is
too,
fun.
so-
I know, so it's more about me. But I do like Christmas lights, and I love the snow. Like in Chicago, they do zoo lights, and it's all snowy, and you go at night, and you can see some of the animals at night.
Zoo is supposed to have some awesome
Do
lights.
they?
I know that's over kind of
It's in Tacoma,
Tacoma,
which
but
finds,
yeah.
That would be fun to go
would
to.
love to
It's
do
one of
that.
those ones where
Yeah.
you want to go not every year because
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't change. They have their.
Oh,
they have
okay,
their-
it's the stock.
So you
sort of
want to
thing.
go.
That's how it is in Chicago too.
Yeah.
But I went a few different years, and like one year Christopher was in town, and we went, and we saw. It's fun to see the animals at night because it's just a little weirder. And then we like rode the carousel, and I was like, this is like the funnest. And we just like walked
Where was
around,
this?
and it was free. Huh?
Where was this?
In,
in
in
Chicago. Oh,
yeah.
cool, fun.
And it was just really nice.
Free here.
I know, but in Chicago, the Lincoln Park Zoo is free.
Is
Oh,
it?
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because it's open. It's not an enclosed zoo. It's in a park.
Okay.
And it's, I mean, you can make donations and stuff, but you can just walk through anytime.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been to it. Actually, Christopher and I went to it 3 times, I think. Because we went to it in Christmas, and then we went to it in the summertime once.
Yeah.
He likes zoos.
Yeah.
He loves zoos.
Does Chicago get really festive? During the Christmas. Because I know New York
Downtown
does,
is,
but
I don't think to the level of New York, but downtown gets awesome. But super packed with people.
Right, oh, I'm
so like
sure.
if you just go for ambiance, it's gorgeous. But if you go to like shop, it is a shit
does
fest.
Seattle hold a candle to it at all? Or
I don't know. I don't
Well, you were here
remember
last year.
I was, but I don't think I went to the men's chorus Christmas concert because I sang carols in the lobby, which this year I decided not to do because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
But last year I did it, and that was very festive. But
Did you dress in period garb? Like no.
no, just like
Period
black,
garb?
white, and
Okay.
not like ye old carolers.
like a ye old.
Okay.
No, we just did like black, white, and
Okay.
red kind of a thing.
like the Scrooged era? Kind
Yeah,
of?
yeah, yeah.
No,
Like
but I love that.
Like a Victorian Christmas.
Yeah, that would be cool.
The art
That's what it's called to be.
Scrooged.
I don't know.
I knew
That's
I-
the original source material.
Exactly.
Bill Murray.
Right.
That's hilarious.
Our favorite nuts. I like the Halloween thing, but one thing that I've found is really cool at Christmas is the people who synchronize music with the lights.
Oh, I like that
and
too.
you can tune in
totally.
to that.
Well, there's
Yeah.
YouTube. There's the one famous house that they did the little
there was.
rock
There was one right. I think it's a Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I don't remember the name of the song, but it's a Christmas.
Yeah, that is
something
awesome
like
stuff. I love
that is
doing
cool.
stuff to do anything to music. I think is just
it's
great.
really fun.
And hard to do. Our
I'm
neighbor,
sure,
our ex-neighbor, they were saying that her husband spent weeks or
Yeah.
hours setting it up.
Well, I even
Crazy.
I did some portfolio videos of my artwork, and I tried to do that to music, and even just doing that is pretty because you've got there's a timing, and
Right.
You know,
Totally.
you want to zoom in or zoom out or fade in, or you want to kind of accent the music, and
It definitely takes a lot of work.
it's fun though.
Totally.
Because it gives you sort of a structure to go by.
Yeah.
Too. So it's not like you're writing. I don't know. I always thought that doing like music videos would be fun.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
for
then
sure.
you have sort of a base to kind of draw from. But
We're going
true.
We're actually heading up next weekend to Leavenworth
fun.
to go
Nice.
check out the lights up there. And,
Cool.
hopefully,
Our sister does that every year. That's their Christmas thing. I think they go a little bit after Christmas, but they go to Leavenworth.
it's,
That's their thing. I
that's
guess.
like
Yeah.
Christmas town in Washington. It's
Cool. I've never been.
Oh, yeah.
I need to go.
Well,
I'm gonna go.
That's where
one
we
day.
actually got a lot of
That's
our
too cool.
orange and Christmas stuff. Or
It's
orange
from
and green Christmas stuff. Yeah,
from
it was
Leavenworth.
from Leavenworth.
Yeah.
Is that an okay day trip if you really want to?
Yeah.
Just to
Oh,
drive?
yeah.
I might just
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely. I mean,
Just to see it, because I've never even been there.
it's kind of like Christmas shopping, but for really ornate Christmassy things.
Yeah.
You know, not for other people, but for like
Let's say it.
decorations and
Yeah.
for you're looking for really neat ornaments or one of those kind of.
It's
Yeah.
definitely a tourist trap type of town, and
Yeah, it's got
I'm okay
it's
with
just
that.
as fun in
I'd
the
just like to
summertime
see
as it
it.
is in the wintertime.
Yeah, I have
Um,
friends who live there. Friends from high
Oh,
school.
oh,
One of
really?
them is a
Oh, wow.
psychologist,
Well, they'll know
and
where
the
to
other
Yeah.
two
take you then.
teach school. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll know exactly
Three
where.
of my really good friends.
Yeah.
Two of my good friends from high school married each other, who are the most adorable couple of all time. And then the third one is the guy's best friend, and they moved there completely independently of each other. But
wow.
we're like, oh wow, I didn't know you moved here as an adult.
Sure.
And they
Are they
reconnected.
from TC?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
went to high school with them.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was cool.
Huh.
They were telling me about it at our reunion a
Oh,
few
cool.
years ago,
Wow.
and they were like, "We both live in Leavenworth, but we didn't move there knowing that the other person lived in Leavenworth."
And you're gonna
That's
run
pretty
into each
cool.
other. up
Oh
there.
yeah,
It's-
and they
yeah,
immediately did, and they were like, "What?" And
Yeah.
like now
Huh.
they're back at BFFs, which
Nice.
is so fun.
There's a lots to do because you either come over through Wenatchee
Mhm.
or you come up over Stevens Pass.
Oh yeah,
There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple ways to
Yeah,
get
Right
there.
on.
go Stevens Pass.
Yeah.
Stevens Pass.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's the fastest way is through Stevens
Cool.
Pass.
Well, I
Yeah.
hope you have fun. Are you guys doing anything in particular, or just
I'm
going
gonna
to
drink
hang
some
out?
beer.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm gonna drink
Cool. Some
there's
holiday festive,
Icicle Creek up there that's really good.
frothy.
The Barron House is really good.
Right on.
Cool.
Plus, there's a place where you go. It's an outdoor restaurant that serves all different kinds of brats.
Oh,
Nice.
yum.
And
yeah. Oh,
Then they
definitely.
have
It's a schnitzel house.
yeah, you actually it's you get a beeper, so when your hot dog's
Oh.
ready, you pick
Oh,
it up
that's
at the
cool.
window,
Huh.
and
Right
then
on.
they have a bevy of mustards and one
Ooh,
ketchup,
yum.
Yeah.
like 30 different
I'm a
flavors of
ketchup.
mustard.
Cool.
On a hot dog
Remember,
person.
remember when Snoop Dogg was doing a show? Remember his reality show? This is a
Yeah.
couple years back. But
Uh-huh.
he did one where he went to some sort of Swiss themed thing, but it was
Yeah.
called, the show was called For Schnitzel.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty funny.
That's really
Yeah.
funny. I love Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And they usually have a crock of sauerkraut.
Nice. Oh, I love
Yeah,
sauerkraut.
so it's-
That's actually I'm off carbs, as I've mentioned in previous
Oh.
episodes, but that's a really great meal to me. Is the schnitzel, like you get some brats, you fry them
Oh,
up,
yeah.
you put some mustard and sauerkraut on it,
Uh-huh.
and it's like
Damn.
satisfying, but
Yeah.
very very little carbs in
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
It's
It's
nice.
just the bread is mainly where
Yeah,
your
you
carbs
just
are at.
don't do the
Yeah.
bread.
Yeah.
So
I wish
this.
they'd figure out how to do low carbs a little easier. Maybe
Oh, I've
technology's
had no
there.
problem.
Yeah.
Well, I've had no problem this time, but I'm not doing low carb versions of food.
Okay.
I'm just eating food that is already low carb.
Okay.
So like,
omelets.
yeah,
probably, or-
omelets. I mean, I also don't consider vegetables carbs.
Oh no.
And
no.
so
like,
I
carrots
eat
are
as
good
much
and
vegetables as I want.
tomatoes and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Awesome. Cool.
Because I want
So
it to
a
be
lot of salads then,
sustainable.
I'm sure.
I basically am just not doing rice, bread, pasta, and
Okay.
potatoes. That's
Cool.
pretty much the only
basically
things.
you eliminate the whites.
Sure.
Yeah. And like I've found that most things to me are really easy to. Even like last night at the restaurant, we just ordered a bunch of stuff, and I just didn't eat the bread, and it was super easy. But I'm also not being really like robotronic about it because I want to do it long term.
You mean a week ago?
I mean, a week ago, wink, wink. We're recording this early.
You're destroying me.
I know, the illusion.
Yeah, the illusion.
So, one thing I wanted to say is this episode was intended to be, even though now I'm an hour into it, I was going to introduce the previews for movies that I wanted to see.
Should we do one at least? Or just
we're
see how it
already
goes?
at an hour.
Already at an hour? Okay.
Yeah. So, we'll just do it another time.
Yeah.
But there is a movie that's coming out this week that I really want to see called American Hustle, which is the new David O. Russell movie. And David O. Russell he didn't write. He directed my all-time favorite movie, which is I Heart Huckabees.
Oh, cool. Cool.
And, well, it's like tied for... There's like 3 movies that are like way
Cutting
up
Edge
there.
has got to be in there somewhere. Come on.
Cutting Edge is the 3rd or 4th.
Okay.
No, it's like The Power of One, I Heart Huckabees, and like Wizard
While
of Oz
you're on this subject, though,
fighting.
from your previous podcast, you mentioned Pixar movies.
Oh, yeah.
Why is Incredibles not on there?
To be honest, I never want to watch The Incredibles.
Oh, really?
I like it, and it's
Right.
like a good movie.
Yeah.
But it's not one that I go, oh man, I totally want to watch that. I don't know
You know
why.
what?
Okay,
It is a
because
good
it's
one,
my
though.
favorite.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
mine.
It's
Okay,
not
all right.
mine.
It is
I'll watch it if it's
good
on,
movie.
but it's not my go-to if I was
And
to pick
it's-
a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. Well,
But
I don't know why.
I think it's just taste for me. Like it's like it is objectively a great movie.
Sure.
But for some reason, and that's the thing with
Maybe
the Toy Story,
it's the
Finding
little boy
Nemo,
in me that just is like
maybe.
superhero.
Yeah.
And it just
and
hit on all
Monsters
cylinders for
Inc.
me.
and Incredibles are all like equally quality.
Yeah.
But to me, the Monsters Inc. is my favorite because I
Sure.
just I laugh and cry in it. Like it's so.
Yeah, it
to
is.
me, I want to watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a personality taste
I got
thing.
no qualms with your decisions. I'm just saying.
Right.
I think that
That's
Monsters
fair.
Inc. is that's my soft spot because
I love it.
It
So
ties
funny and
into
cute.
Looney Tunes too
Oh, yeah,
when they're doing
totally.
when they're smashing the garbage. And he's fainting every time he sees a little part of the girl going through.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It is a neat movie.
But they're all so good, and that's why they're like neck and neck, Because Christopher, if he was here, would go to the mats about Toy Story.
Yeah.
He would be here arguing for Toy Story, and to me, I'm like,
I see that
I might
kinda
even
too.
like The Incredibles better than Toy Story, though.
Yeah.
But Toy Story is really good.
It
But they
is.
ripped that idea off.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Though Rango, I know that's not Pixar,
yeah.
but I think
It's a really good
Rango.
movie.
I finally
just as
watched
good as
that in
any-
its entirety. I
Yeah.
always fell asleep towards the end. I never
Oh,
had
yeah.
seen
Funny.
the ending.
Yeah.
And I forced myself. I felt
Nice.
myself falling asleep, and I
Yeah.
forced myself to
That is a
stay
good
awake.
one.
I like it because it has a lot. It's so many tie-ins with so many different
Oh,
things.
yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
definitely on the next one. I'm gonna do some upcoming trailers because I've just been seeing a lot of movie trailers and they're fun to watch and kind of talk about. So we'll do that in a couple of weeks because there's so many movies I want to talk about that are coming out in the next 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
But anyway, but American Hustle opens this week, and it's like this con man 70s thing with like Bradley Cooper with a tiny curl perm, and
Okay.
Christian Bale fat and bald, and
Yeah.
Jennifer Hudson like with like a booty shake kind of thing, like she's the jiggle 70s like bombshell. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like there's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
these in the trailer. There's all these shots of her just like walking and being curvy, and I love that.
Huh.
So I'm excited. I'm gonna see it this week. I'm actually gonna go see a movie on opening weekend
Nice.
because I'm a fan. So we didn't get to it because there was too many other things to talk about, but we will get to it one of these weeks.
Cool.
And next time Scott's gonna give us some stuff to talk about and stuff. Thanks for listening. Tell a friend. We're getting our website up soon.
Yes.
It might already be up.
No.
No?
No,
2 weeks?
we'll see,
Matt?
we'll see.
Probably
It's-
after Christmas.
Yeah, after peak season.
Yeah, because Rick has work to do.
Yeah.
So, but it
I
will
just
be
gotta
up
survive
soon.
peak. And
Oh,
then, and then I'm
jeez.
all
You
yours.
will.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for listening. Huzzah!
Bye-bye.